Oh! Oh man, guys. Hopefully you want to learn this one. This is a sick one. This is wood carving Partita. What I like most about this one is that it very much feels like a classical guitar piece. It really kind of shines on the instrument, I think. And as soon as I basically did this because there was a random comment on YouTube that was like, "Will you do the wood carving Partita from Symphony of the Night?" And I always listen to them, but I never do them. So I went over and I listened to it, and it was freaking awesome. And I was like, dude, I gotta do this. This is so sick. Okay, so without further ado, I'll jump into the walkthrough. I'm not going to go over the left-hand fingerings. I'm just going to go over general stuff, little things you might, not realize when you're playing through this pup. Okay, so when you start out, a lot of the nuances of this piece have to do with muting strings, especially in the beginning portion of it. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. You could do it one or two ways. Okay, so listen, I could go right, but I think it's more interesting to go. Puts a little more character in the beginning there. So what I'm doing, I'm taking my right hand finger and I'm placing it on the string after I play it to mute the sound. The second one I'm just letting ring out. Okay, so now all these runs I'm doing with the right hand. I'm starting with a certain finger and I'm going back and forth between the index and middle for the most part, except for at the end when it lands on 3 or more notes. Now that one I want you to do with P, M, and A. Okay, when you get to here. And listen to what I'm doing with the bass here. Hear that? Mute. Now, mute, then let it ring. Mute. Mute. So this is index, middle, and then on. Now this whole run up here. This seems like it'd be an awkward move, but it's not really once you get used to it. So this middle, index, middle, pinky, and then going from the pinky to the middle there, it's like really 2 positions. So that's a good thing to work on. Now, this part, really, really hard. It was really hard for me to record this. Don't be discouraged if you can't do it without a lot of practice. It took me a long time to be able to do it, and even now, my success rate on it is quite low, lower than it should be. For the recording I did it, I got it pretty good, but man, I had to work on these little chunks. And when I record stuff, keep in mind I do record it in chunks. Okay, so it's not a perfect playthrough. So don't let that inspire you and realize that I'm not quite as good as you think I am. Okay, all right, we'll move on. Now for this, there's really only one choice of fingerings, I think, here. Okay, because you're going to need P and M, I, and then you're going to use M and A here at the top. Now this is a weird feeling thing because you're going P and A here, I, and then M and A. And it feels weird having this gap in between the M and the A fingers, but you gotta do it. So now have a look here. I'm doing a hinge bar, which means I'm letting the A ring out, but I'm still getting this 5th fret with the first finger. Now, important, especially on this chord, to build it as you need it. Okay, I've talked about this many, many times. It's sort of like you want to play in a way that allows you to use the least amount of energy at all times. Okay, so if I don't need to slap everything down at once, I don't. Okay, and neither will any like real top classical guitar players. So you're putting down your third finger, then your second, then your fourth, okay? Now, I'm doing the same thing in the beginning I did with the mutes, listen. So, then letting it ring. Listen. Work on the slow. As far as this section here, I'm not sure I need to talk about much there, but let me run it back a little bit. Now, this is important. This is where I jump, okay? When I hit this B string. Now, in here, it's pretty easy on the right hand. I'm starting with the thumb, index, middle, index, middle, index, middle, index, middle. So it starts with the thumb, then an index finger, then it goes back and forth. Oh, God. Now, I do like to do a little staccato there. Now we're into the main melody of this thing, which I love. I think it works so good. It's so cool. If you can get your hands around this thing, it's super duper fun to play. Okay, so start out here. And I'd like to do that first bass note kind of staccato. As opposed to... It just feels like it's the right vibe. Pull down. And for the right hand, I'm grabbing this top note with the index. So I can go index, middle, index, middle, index. Alright? 2 thumbs here. Actually, all thumbs for this one. Now, it doesn't really matter what you're using on the right hand as long as you can make it work. Now, for here, though, I would start with the index, or start with the middle. So, middle, and... Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So, middle, index, middle, middle. This obviously has to be all your fingers. Here I'm doing a little staccato when I go up to this note. Not. You could do either though. No. Start with the middle. Actually, it doesn't matter because you have a gap because you're doing a pull off in there. Right? Now this is really hard, and I don't think I really even did it in the recording, but when you play these 2 notes at the same time, the B string is actually the melody, so try to make that ring out a little bit louder than the high string. It's easier said than done, honestly. Now for here, now this one I really had to work on the left hand, okay? So you want to pre-place, so the 2 is going to be on here, don't take it off, so you get to here. And I'm starting with the P and M here. So, as long as you get to M and I here, you're good. Then I strum this whole chord and slide my pinky way up. Do a few of those. so that the last I'm kind of doing that in rhythm. It kind of helps me, and it has the effect of it's just slowing down at the end there. I just think go back here. Now you got a chance. Once you hit this B, you can come up. Okay, grab a bar. Then the bar comes off. Then we're back in the main theme again. Add a B note, a little bit more power on that chord for the second time around. In fact, this whole part, a little bit more power. Now we go up. Same melody, but up. And again, for this part, so I'm kind of muting that. And the way I'm doing that, playing the strings, then resting them again. Just like that. It's all the same. Oh. Nothing too crazy here. Now for this part, I am doing a hinge bar. For the only purpose though is that I don't really need to waste energy on making a full bar. That's the only reason I'm doing a hinge here. But I am indeed only grabbing the first fret there on the first string. Oops. This is bad. It's weird. It's hard to play this slow actually. It means I don't really know it that well. Now for this part, I'm doing a thing where the first, I'm playing the first bass note short, and then the second one long, and then the third one short, and then we're back into the first one, which is short, long, short. I know I'm doing short, long, and I forget on the last one if I'm doing short or long, but. And that was something I needed to actually work on. I couldn't do it at first. It just felt weird resting this finger back on while I'm doing other stuff up top. No ring finger here. The right hand, no ring finger. Now this is all not too bad. Just make sure you keep this bass note on so you get to here. This part is quite tricky, okay? I'm feathering this. This move is pretty hard, jumping from, because the middle finger is going, jumping strings. Stretch out. Now this is sort of a weird thing on this chord, because what's happening is, usually you go, you know, instead, the arpeggio is starting here, and we're hitting the bass note and the melodic note at the same time on the downbeat there. So that's something we're going to have to work on. Now, I decided through arranging this that I was doing hammer-ons, but I decided I could get it more consistently if I was actually picking all these notes, okay? So start with the index finger, and you're just start with the middle finger on this one, and then I think the next one you do index, but they're always alternate, okay? Yeah, so this one you're going to start with the index finger. This one, middle finger. Middle finger. This is all not too bad. Now for these ones, I'm jumping my thumb up and I'm using my thumb and my index finger. Well, I start out with the P and I, then M, then I jump up to using P and I. And then when I go back to this one, I'm again using P and I to M, and then jumping to my P and I. Then we're back to the beginning, right? It's all the same. So we get to here. Okay, now we're into this like coda section I just kind of added. And remember, that rhythm, ba-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, with this little staccato there, notice I'm doing that every time. Oops, sorry. Big arpeggio kind of. Arpeggiate that one at the end. Hopefully you have a good old time with this one. It's pretty fun once you get it. There's not too much to say about it except for making sure you're starting out with the right notes on the runs on the right hand, okay? Because left hand is all in the tab. That's something you kind of just got to play with on your own. A lot of times with the left hand, I feel like there is a definite best way of doing it, which I'm always going to write in the tabs, or have my tabber do it. But as far as the right hand, there's a little bit more freedom, I feel, but there's certain sections, especially when it gets really fast, where it totally makes sense to do this or that because of string crossing. So keep in mind that, like, for the most part, if you're crossing, you know, you're doing a line, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, and you have to cross up to a higher string in pitch, you're going to mainly go this way on your hand, okay? This direction. So either, you know, thumb to index, index to middle, middle to ring. And conversely, if you're going down, you're going towards the bass strings, you know, you're crossing, you're going that way. Usually you want to do the crosses so that they're happening this way on the hand, this way. What I mean is, you know, from ring to middle, middle to index, index to thumb. Though there's certain times when that goes out the window just because the line is so weird that you can't do that. For the most part on this, you pretty much don't have to worry about that. Although I think, let me think here. Now here's an example. There's an example right there, okay, where you're going to start out in a nice position and a nice crossing, and then all of a sudden you're going to have to use your index finger to jump down, okay? Or up in pitch, you know. So I start it with the thumb. I am, and then everything. Right there. See, I'm jumping to my index there. And then again, right at the top there, using my index finger. And it's weird. It doesn't feel right. And then this one lays out real nice. Even though you still got to do that jumping. So It's very worth it to practice that stuff, especially when it comes up in pieces and everything. Make sure you're practicing the stuff that is hard for you. I'm at a place right now where I'm realizing, like, if I really want to get better as a guitar player, and I can, absolutely, we can all get better. I'm gonna have to start focusing on stuff that's hard for me. And a lot of, like, I'm not the best at runs like that. It's really hard for me to record this. Like, it's hard for me to do that stuff consistently. As you can hear, when I'm going through this walkthrough, I do make mistakes and everything. But it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. So hopefully you like this walkthrough, bro. All right. Peace.